Of course, trust, communication, sex, everything else, attraction, right? And this, I think that's a part of attraction, right? That's emotional and social intelligence, is being a good negotiator.
Totally.
Um,
And that requires empathy, right? Like that requires
yeah,
emotional
empathy,
intelligence and
vulnerability, the ability to, and this is what I love about my girlfriend too, is she makes me look at myself. She'll bring up the things that I might be doing in not the best way, right? And I'll be like, oh yeah, well, it's hard to look at sometimes, where sometimes I find a spin to a story um, to emphasize my point, and I might over exaggerate that or something, right? And I know that I'm doing it. And I'll look at it and I'll be like, you're right. I'm doing that. I'm doing that thing, and I love that, and that makes me a better person. And so, not a lot of people being okay with looking at yourself when your partner says something that might, show a flaw in you, is something that's a very emotionally intelligent thing to have in your tool belt, I think.
so how does she do it? How does she say you're
Yeah,
silly? Or what
that's
does she do?
exactly what she says. She looks at me, she winks, and she says, "You're silly," and then I just get it. Um, no, she'll tell me. She'll be like, "Hey, I feel like you're spinning the words a little different here," or "I don't believe that's what happened." And I think sometimes you embellish the story, or you exaggerate a story to make a point sometimes, and it makes me feel, whatever. She'll go into that. She'll just tell me straight up, and that's great. That's something I've been working on and looking at. And sometimes it's funny. Sometimes I do it for humor, and I use exaggeration and embellishment, and
And you're
but
like,
it's obvious,
honey, you just
right?
ruined my joke.
Right. But if we're having an argument, and sometimes, or I feel I maybe stretch or I reach for why I might have said something. I'm trying. Sometimes when I'm trying to make a point, I pull all these different angles to try to come up with different things to figure myself out. And sometimes it sounds like I'm throwing the book at someone or something. And so it's all about communication. It's all about letting people know, that calling people out in a nice way. And I don't want to say the word nice, but calling someone out in a respectful way um, can be very useful. You know, yes, commitment, honesty, and I think telling the truth is something we all work on all the time. Everybody in every situation, and the truth is interesting. It's nice to have truth. I was just listening to this talk. Who was it? It was about truth. I think it was probably Jordan Peterson. I'm not sure. Maybe, but it's
Something
an
about the truth.
yeah. Well, yeah. There you go.
Truth will be used to slay the dragon.
That's right. I fucking love that guy. I love him. But something that was said, I think it was him who was saying this, was number one, the truth. The more you tell the truth, the more interesting your life will be, right? Usually when you don't tell the truth, it's to maintain, it's not rocking the boat, right? It's not, you're just trying to keep the boat on the dock and safe, right? But if you tell the truth, you might get somewhere, and it's intriguing, and it can take you to very interesting places. But also,
Oh, totally. Yeah. Like if you I tried a week of extreme honesty once. Um it got my I got a girlfriend to break up with me. Um
nice.
um but I and that was something interesting. Something I learned a lot from that, right? Like, and I also learned a lot about my values at that moment, right? Like, oh, obviously, like I think I would have done things more tactfully now, as an old, me 8, 9 years down the road or whatever. I think I would have done things differently in that situation with my ex-girlfriend. But like telling the truth, you feel like so much more free. You told the truth. You said, you say how you're feeling, and if you don't agree, it with somebody, it like creates discussion, and like that's when people can get really intimate, when you are being assertive and just kind of like, like nonviolent communication of openly inviting discussions with people and saying, well, you know what, I don't think it's really like this, and here's my opinion why, and here are the reasons. You have such a deeper level of complexity to your conversations and a deeper level of like trust with the people that you're talking to, because that person trusts you to tell the truth, and now they feel like they can open up and talk to you in a certain way. So you like speed up, you like put on turbo mode for your relationships, like especially if they're newer relationships, you get deeper with people.
Totally.
And yeah, as you know, more shit ends up happening because of that.
Yeah, the truth is
You tell
exciting.
your girlfriend you want to anal, and like it starts to
Right.
plant that seed in her butt, it just starts planting the seed, and eventually it might be
Well, you're
birthday
planting the
comes
seed, yeah,
around.
but I don't know if it's
Yeah.
fertile ground.
I mean, that's, you're just being truthful, right? Like you're just
Right. It's true. And yeah, what I was, the thing that was really cool about truth was, yeah, that didn't throw us off at all.
sorry.
No, it's awesome. Um, is, um, is truth, well, this is a kind of a visual thing that I was getting at with truth, is that when you have truth, you have reality backing you up, right? I mean, think about that. When you have truth, you have what really happened in reality is in your corner, right? But when you don't tell the truth, you're fighting reality. I mean, there's so much of reality. So there's a million angles that it'll just smother you in, right? So like the lie will come up in this way or that way, or 5 years down the road, or 10 years, or in your subconscious, right? So with truth, you have all this massive weight with it that's on your side,
Right.
you know? So
Right.
it's like, so it's nice. It's nice to have that behind you. It's like that reality is in my corner, right?
And that's where
Kind of a cool way of
that's
looking
where
at it.
like there's not like a long term, like when it comes to like things like spinning a narrative for political gain or some sort of influence over people, right? I think that's very short-sighted.